when I was growing up, our family, like, there were lots of practices that were done every day. So my grandma used to pray every day. My dad too. They would light a diya. My family would start their day with like listening to Hanuman Chalisa, and there were all the festivities were celebrated. And I remember taking long walks with my dad where he would tell me about Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, and he would talk to me about dharma. And I think at that time it wasn't, as a kid, I think I internalized all of it, but I was never an active, um, it's a surrounding, or it's an environment that you're a part of, but you never actively do anything much about it. And I think I followed a lot what my parents used to say. Sometimes I would fast with them on Fridays and things like that. But I think and I'm really grateful now, at this age, that those reminders were placed around me, and I grew up in an environment like that. So when I moved, I think some of the values did get a little bit lost here and there. But for me, I think that the unraveling of my own cultural identity really began during the pandemic. And it was a time when I was not, I think it was a difficult time for me before the pandemic, because um, there were a lot of, I think, pieces here and there of myself that I was trying to connect, and I was going through a lot emotionally at that time. And I think once the pandemic started, we were all locked in our homes, and I think pandemic is one of those times where everybody has, they have a unique story to tell. And for my story, it was that since we were all locked in our homes, it was time to face the music, and it was time to decide, okay, how who am I? Or I know this sounds um, a little bit out of the blue, but I think for me it was a really important time of self-discovery and connecting back with my roots, and trying to weave together the pieces and of old and new. And I think that's when I started to embark on this journey of really connecting with Hinduism and connecting with myself, and putting together. And I think it happened very organically for me at that time. So all the puzzle pieces, if you would, kind of started to fall in place for me. And I think that's the time when I delved into reading the Gita and Upanishads, and I started following the Brahma Kumaris. And I think that was a time where, in particular, I think it was a choice that and it wasn't something consciously that I was trying to do, that, oh, I need to follow this path, or I need to reconnect with my, old self. But it was rather, I need to address what's going on with me now. And I
Mm,
think that unraveled this path for me, and it opened up this new journey. And I really enjoyed that journey. And um, luckily at that time, I also started doing work with UBC for equity, diversity, and inclusion. And it was, I think, all of that connected within just 6 months, because um, one of the reasons why I connected with the work so much is because you're trying to question the things that you know, and you're trying to understand, where am I coming from, and what are the barriers that are keeping me from, being um, unleashing my true self, or what is keeping me, what are my anxieties, what are my fears. And I think combining, and it's a beautiful journey of unlearning and questioning yourself, and I was already on that path when I started with this work. So it really fell into place for me at that time, and I developed a routine, and I would do meditation every day, yoga every day, and all of those things. um, I think all of those things are what helped me discover my path and
mm,
my connection to Hinduism. And again, it happened very naturally. It wasn't something I was trying to do. And that's when I started thinking more about where I'm from, and um, what is it that I'm here to do? What is my dharma or duty, as you asked? And I think all of these questions put me on that path. And ever since then, I've been on that journey where I'm trying to actively learn more about our culture, and I'm trying to understand, um, what can I do now to reconcile those parts, and what does Hinduism mean to me? Because I've never been, I don't think I call myself religious, but rather I do really, like Hinduism is a very big part of who I am as a person and what I believe in. It's not, it's a lifestyle, it's what you choose. And I think when I think of Hinduism, like, it's a path that you're taking that, it's very free, it's very inclusive. And it teaches you how to be a better person, how to be there for others around you. And those I think that's what Hinduism really means to me. And it's
Mm,
um like when I go through and of course there's some things I agree with and some I don't, but that's what I love about it, that you're free to choose whatever you want. And it's it's a very beautiful journey of questioning yourself, learning more about yourself, connecting with the powers that lie within you.
yes.
And I think once you build, I think it's a very long answer to say the thing that it teaches you how to make a beautiful relationship with yourself. And
Mm,
once you have that, all other relationships in your life they start to blossom too. And I think you get a more clear sense of what your purpose is, in life, and it makes you more fluid, and um, it empowers you on every level. So I think that's what this journey has done for me, and that's what Hinduism means to me. It's the power to create this really beautiful world that you can inside of yourself, and that
yes.
energy is radiated everywhere
Yes.
else. And it's um, and I think this is again, I apologize to doing a very long answer on this one, but when I was growing up, I think a lot of um, I recall sharing this with one of my, I don't remember who, but I recall sharing this with one of my friends when I was reading the Gita, and I was telling them that, oh, I'm reading this, and their response was, but you're young, why do you need to do this? And it's not
Yeah.
something that, like, what happened to you? Is something wrong? And I was, no, it's not. That's one of the biggest, I think, myths that I would like to address is,
Yes.
um, when you choose to engage on this journey, it's not so much that something's wrong or something happened to you, or
Uh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's more like you have to be with people, and you have to be near people and live your life while you can live like your best self. So it's
Yes.
not something that you need to wait to retire and then decide, oh, I like spirituality, now I have nothing to do with my life, so I can
Yes.
get into spirituality.
Yes.
So I think making that distinction was, or even realizing for myself that meditating every day or doing yoga every day is making me a better person. Um, it's adding value to my life in a way that now I can be of value to others
Yes.
also. So I
Yes.
think yeah, that's a very long answer to your question, but
No, I mean, I think Hinduism is almost like this beautiful way of doing that because as you like wonderfully and beautifully said, um, building that relationship with yourself leads you to almost unlocking that true potential. And then that energy, as we know, um, sort of expands into your environment. And you see then almost as though things just happen naturally or things just naturally fall into place without even putting much effort because yourself you've reached you're vibrating with you
yeah.
know all this positive energy. So I mean it's so beautiful to see and to hear your journey, as I'm sure many folks can also relate to.